the question always came up. Well, were you afraid? Were you afraid when you went through Hell Week? Were you afraid when you went to combat? Were you afraid when you were overseas? Were you afraid? Were you afraid? And then I began to realize, wow, there's an underlying component that supersedes the idea of the construct of confidence, right? Of self-confidence. It's this innate thing, this thing that's woven into the framework, the wiring, and the emotional framework of who you are from birth, right? Mm. And that's the idea. That's the emotion of fear. And all you got to do is look at the way you're set up, right, on a biological level within your limbic system in terms of stress hormones and positive hormones, which you've got dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and then over here you've got epinephrine, norepinephrine, adrenaline, and cortisol, right? And so you have this biological war that's being waged every single day, which generates one of, I think, the primary emotion that we have to manage throughout our lives, and that's why what spawned this show is fear. And fear is fundamental in every way, in every human being. And so, from basically after being asked this question ad nauseum, I was like, and I didn't know how to answer it initially. I kind of gave these kind of flippant answers like, how dare you ask me if I was afraid in combat? I was like, what gives you that right? And I'd give stupid answers, but eventually I was like, no, people really want to know. Like they genuinely want to know. And so I spent about 2 years.
Afraid. It's because
everybody's afraid. Everybody's afraid.
And they want to know that if even that Navy SEAL was afraid, then maybe they're not crazy.
Right. And that's the thing, because you can't defeat fear. It's just an impossibility. No. You can't. You're wired from it and you've been taught it your whole life. It's a
Anybody
part
who says you can or they're not afraid is lying. This is lying.
There's this idea, oh, that dude's fearless.
No.
And I know guys, one of my friends has almost 800 combat missions, and I'd ask him, hey, dude, were you afraid your last deployment? He's like, Rut, I was getting shot at. What do you think? Of course I'm afraid. I just know how to manage it better through these other ideas that are woven into our training and my own psychological development through an idea called stress inoculation, but also through the deep introspection of, and for what a lot of guys talk about it is, if it's my time, it's my time. It's the acceptance, right? That fear's an integral part of my job, my existence. And so if I allow fear to overwhelm my aptitude to deliver skill sets under these pressure environments, then I'm not going to be what I want to be, right?
Well, that happens in everyday people too. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it happens in everyday people. It doesn't have to be just you're shot at, right? Even I just got a small dose of it. You have a kid, they've got people who depend on you.
That's what I was going to ask you. Were you afraid before your kid came?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because you realize, you start thinking about, oh, I got to provide for my family. I got to do all these things. And immediately you go, okay, well, what do I need to do that? And then the next stage is you just picturing all the scenarios. And here's the thing. It's not even that you're being overly paranoid sometimes. You think of all the scenarios that could get in the way of you protecting and providing for your family that you are now up against, right?
That's right. The negative insurgency.
The negative insurgency. I lose my job. I lose an arm. I die. I lose my mind, flip out. I can't regulate my emotions. I make a wrong decision about some decision inside of a hospital that turns out bad, right? There's so many things you start realizing, and it's not even crazy because you could do those things, right? It actually could go wrong. I could mess up. Let me correct that. I will mess up as a husband and a father. I will. Right?
That's right.
So those are, and then also that's actual real world consequences for the people that you love and depend on you. It's actually real. And so this isn't just like, hey, be positive, man, you'll be happy. It's like, no, be positive like your life depends on it, and the lives of the people who depend on you depend on it.
Well, and that's what I really tried. That's what emerged out of this, right? What fear, it's, you can't talk and innuendo and about fear. Like you've got to give people a concise way to address it. And,
Yes.
and so that's what emerged next was really this idea of teaching people to embrace their fear, right? Because one of the things you learn in the program is that you're going to be afraid every day because every day you're doing things that are high risk, training evolutions. Every day you make one wrong move and you could be seriously wounded or killed every single day. It's no avoiding it. So you have to embrace it. And if when you bring it in close, if you're not sure what it is and where it comes from, then it controls you and then it can get the best. So you have to learn to embrace it. So what did I do? Based on the research, I created 5 missions for learning to embrace fear. Mission number 1 is search for the truth of your fear. And that's what I think people aren't doing at all. Like I ask this, and I give, 100, 125 speeches a year to audiences in all across the United States and around the world. And I ask, when I give the Embrace Fear seminar, step 1 is, mission 1, search for the truth of yours. Step 1 is write down every single fear you've ever had as a child, as young adolescence, young adulthood, all your fears you have right now and all the fears you have in the future. And I ask the audience, I go, raise your hand if you've done this before. And the average, and this is, let's say the average audience I speak in front is 200 to 300 people. The average response to that is 1 person in the audience. All right.
It reminds me of the AA steps, like admit that you have a problem sort of thing. That's always a step 1. Right.
100%. And I looked at AA, right? I don't even know how many different training protocols and profiles that I've looked at as I was trying to figure out the best way to deliver this information. Because, I wrote curriculum at SQT, I wrote curriculum at Blackwater, I wrote curriculum at the agency, and I've written a ton of curriculum for companies. I've written a ton of curriculum, for what Froglogic concepts are too. So I wanted something that was palatable for everybody to understand this. So, most of the curriculum is journal based. It's really just doing some introspection about yourself based on different sequences or experiences you've had. And then there are also some other activities that propel you out to go ahead and evaluate yourself in real time under different stressful situations or environments by choice. And so the Embrace Fear one, I discovered, all right, that is the first thing.